The next feature we have is one for both virtual reality and augmented reality. And this is Gamepads. So it lets you access the associated Gamepad object for a WebXR input source. So a WebXR input source is any kind of controller used to access the scene. And different devices have different kinds of controllers. So some actually have real pieces of hardware, kind of like a joystick that you hold in one hand, with some buttons on it. And it can detect the position and rotation of this. Anyway, all of the buttons on these objects will be exposed as a gamepad. So you can detect button presses and joystick movements, and the API is almost identical to the existing Gamepad API. So it should be very familiar to work with. To get the Gamepad information, you look over the input sources from the session, and if the input source has a Gamepad object, that means that it's probably a real piece of physical hardware with buttons on it. And the state of those buttons can be read using the Gamepad object itself. Next we have hand input, because some headsets don't use controllers at all and use cameras to look at your hands and work out their position and use that to control the scene. Some headsets have a mixture of hands or gamepads and will switch between them depending on what the user is doing. And you could even do that on the fly. So to tell if an input source is a real human hand, then like with gamepads, you look over your input sources, and then if your source has a hand object, then that's going to be all the information you need about the hand. And what this is a way to access the position of each joint in the hand, which you can use to animate a 3D model of the user's hands, or use it to interact with the user's environment. Using the user's hands to interact with the scene, so they can grab stuff or poke stuff or point at things, is a fantastic way for users to interact with the virtual environment, and a really great thing to support.